So in the README doc that I shared, this is the multi-day version README doc. There is a link to the workshop material. Okay, that puts you back into the drive here, right? So you will see a number of folders here for previous workshops. So I think it's irrelevant because the content has continued to change, as well as the product has continued to evolve. So what I would suggest is focus on the stuff that is here in this main directory. And this is the PDF that you guys from the session 1. The session 2 PDF is here. Okay. So if you want to keep it on the side and follow along, maybe if you go back and review it. Hold on for a second. Yeah, I have dogs that may go a little crazy. Let me close my door. Okay. So let me touch on some key things. I'm assuming at this time you have a good understanding of what agents are. This is probably the money slide. Okay, I'm going to revisit this one. This particular representation of how agents work is the same regardless of what platform you use, right? If you use Google's or Microsoft's, Amazon's, or OpenAI's, name it, right? So if there's anything that you want to take away from how agents work, this is the slide. Okay. So if somebody wants to take a crack at it, or do you want me to explain this slide again? So just to recap. Miguel, can I ask you to get us started?
Yeah, let's do it. So, all right. So under the hood, this is a workflow type of diagram that you explained last session. And this in particular shows the inner workings of all the flow interactions between a user and the agent, the LLM, and the tool. So when a user sends any query or task or any text whatsoever, agent that we build will format that, add context, and send that to the LLM. Then back, the LLM will generate a response with the tool calls, and that's where we get the loop, where it's executing a tool call, returning the tool results, formatting back and updating context, and sending back to generate any other new action or response. That happens as many times as the agent with the system prompt understands it needs to do it. Sometimes it will several times do it or forget, in my experience, depending on the complexity of the task. But then, all right. Then once it finishes, it sends the final response. So in this case in particular, it's Agent Man who is orchestrating all this interaction. Yeah, it's basically, I almost semi-read it, but also remembered from last time.
Perfect. No, I think you nailed it here. You got all the key elements. Anybody has any thoughts that they would like to add to this? Okay, so this is great. So then let's talk about what makes up an agent. Okay, this is the other one, right? So now that we understand how agent work, what makes up an agent? And by the way, agents, whether it's again on this platform, any other platform, have the same elements. An agent has a goal. You don't want an agent without a goal, because then it becomes open-ended and the agent doesn't know how to behave in certain situations at that point. So you always want to give a goal.
Mike.
Sure. Yeah. Somebody said something?
It's okay. I'm sorry. I'm having technical difficulties. My fault.
No worries. So the goal is, think of it as whenever somebody says, hey, we need to do something, and usually it's a very high level description. That's what a goal is. Usually one, two, three lines, no more than that. And once you have a goal, you then decompose the goal into a series of tasks. And that's how agents also think about. And each task is a series of steps to accomplish it. Now, the tasks themselves for humans, they don't have to follow a flowchart fashion. You don't have to feel like a robot, right? So you know you need to complete a project. This is a goal, and you have a series, a collection of tasks you have to accomplish. Some are sequential, some can be done in parallel, some can be done in any order, right? So that's how even agents think about. So even though they may look like there are arrows going from one task to another, the sequence of how the tasks are performed will vary depending on what was provided as input or what was question was asked. So agents are able to switch and jump across tasks, perform steps out of order within the task as well, as long as the steps permit, right? Sometimes you say, hey, get the name, email, and address in 3 steps, let's say. Now, if the user gives you the address first, they're okay with it. Agents will say, okay, what about name and email? So it doesn't have, though they're called steps, doesn't mean they have to be sequential. So just like humans, agents themselves can look at what was collected and see what was missing and replay some of the older steps. The second thing agents can do is go from one task to another. So let's say you are in the middle of order status. You can suddenly halfway through that order status discussion, you can say, hey, can you tell me about the soap that you carry? Right? So this is something that humans do quite often, is switching context. The moment you say soap and carry, it will go and use the task that is meant for looking at product lookups, get the information and share it with you. Now you can say, oh, okay, let's get back to our order status, and it'll pick up where it left off. Okay. Now, depending just like humans, context switching with great accuracy may start to drop off if you have 15, 20, 30 context switches across tasks because you forget, right? Or if you have spent 10 minutes doing a lot of work and then you suddenly change context, you may not remember what you did 10 minutes ago. That's how agents also are at the current state of technology. Maybe 2 years from now, a year from now, that only will increase. They only get better that they can remember a lot more stuff that they have done. They can switch across multiple tasks. So that's something that you will have to think about as you're building the agents, is that for the current state of the world, they can do 10 different tasks with 25, 30 different tools, right? Now, depending on the platform, that will change. What I mean by platform is that, let's say you're using Salesforce Agentforce or Google's Vertex AI agents. You may be able to only build maybe 7 or 8 tasks with 10 tools before it starts to wander off and use the wrong tools. Right? So that's the place where we came up with a more deterministic way of connecting the task with the tools. Right? So that's basically how we say, here, this is instruction. Then we specify the tool name directly in the instruction. So tying the tool to the instruction, being very specific. Other platforms don't necessarily tie the tools and instructions. They just give a list of tools and the agent has to figure out which tool to use. So if the tool names are very clear and no ambiguity, then it works. But if the tool names start to be similar, like the example here, fetch product meta fields and fetch product details, it would not know when to use which and could end up hallucinating. Okay. So, but to the point at a high level, agents have goals, have instructions, and sometimes in order to perform these tasks, they need to rely on backend data or backend systems. And to access those systems, you use APIs or tools. That's what we have, your tools. And between conversations or between long running steps, it stores interim data in variables or memory. So this way it remembers over a period of time. Okay. So goals, tasks, instructions within those tasks, tools, variables. All of this is what we call as a system prompt. Okay. You see this format prompt. That's the system prompt for the agent. On every turn, that means every time a message goes from the user to the agent, or the agent then sends it to the language model. The language model gets all of that system prompt, plus all the conversation that has happened so far. And that's what the LLM then parses all of that information and says, oh, for the next action, this is what is going on. I need to get this information, etc. So as long as you remember that at every turn, all the information is going along with the system prompt that you created for the agent, plus the previous conversations, plus the new question that goes in. Okay. Now, this entire package goes in what is called the language model context window. Okay. Context windows, think of it as a state, memory state, right? That state size for language models varies depending on the language model. So for the latest language models from OpenAI, you can send 1 megabit or megabyte, I think 1 megabyte of data. The moment you exceed 1 megabyte of data, it will say, sorry, I cannot handle it. Google's Gemini does 4 times that on their models. So you can pretty much send a textbook, a PDF textbook with it, right? So it can literally look through all of it. Now, how good these models are when the information is one megabyte could be as much as 10 pages, right? And a 100-page book is just too much information. And if language models may not be very good at looking at all the information, accurately answering it. Okay. Just like humans cannot quickly shuffle through the 100 pages of document and then get the right answer all the time, language models may be inaccurate about it. So that's what we call as context window. So if you start to put a lot of content in the context window, like putting a whole textbook, it starts to fail. So just to ground you guys in terms of some of the concepts. Now, let's move on to building an agent, right? So Agent Man allows you to build these agents that work very similar to other platforms. And there are 3 ways you can build an agent. You can describe the agent you want to build here. Or if you want inspiration on what you want to build, you can pick one of these temp prompts. And the agent assistant within Agent Man is called Dugent. It will build the agent for you, right? So it's called the starter agent. And that starter agent needs tools. So it makes up or mocks up tools for you so you can start testing it, right? So that we are seeing that. We also have ready to use agents, sales agent, rental agent, Shopify AI assistant agent. A sketch agent is a fun agent where you can say, draw me a cat. Now it'll draw a cat for you. Now you can actually look at the agent instructions and add a dog to it. So it's basically a doodle, right? So and make the dog an alien, right? So and you can iterate and start to use sketching, right? So this is a fun agent. That's one of the things that MIT guys had published a paper. So you can see little antennas here, right? So this is sketch agent. You can clone it and start using it as well, right? So and then this is a Aura assistant agent, which is meant for the Aura ring. It's currently tied to my account, but you can replace the API key and then it'll connect with your account. Okay. So once you have your agent built, right? So here, for example, we have a shopping agent. You go to the agent editor, right? So you generate an agent, you go to agent editor, you can go ahead and look at the tasks and you can modify it, right? And then you have the variables here. You have the tools in this section. And we have new tabs in here that we can get to in a second, but these are things that we just rolled out, this beta. And in fact, this is actually still in the works. We're hoping to get it ready for today, but we didn't. We had run into some deployment issues, and we've been struggling with those for a few days now. But otherwise, we introduced a few more capabilities to make it super easy to build an agent. Okay. So let's look at those, right? So let's say we have an agent that we are building. we have few building an agent requires what is called prompt engineering. You're writing English instructions and tying them to tasks. And not everybody is well versed with prompt engineering. So we actually make that super easy by giving you what is an agent assistant. You can literally say, build me a task saying, let's say I go here and specify, okay, handle product support, right? So this task is answer product support questions, right? So that's basically, so I'm asking Dugen to create me a task called handle product support. All it will do is answer product support questions. So you probably use ChatGPT, so think of it that way. You can have free-flowing conversations. It will create the task in the instruction format that you see here. Okay. So it came back and said the create handle stars. I will need to generate steps that will help accomplish the goal. And gives the detailed steps here. And then this is what it has given you a task. So it says prompt the user describe their product issue or question and store it in a variable. Call search product FAQ. Now this is the tool. You don't have one, it just made up one so that you can then implement it. Using this product issue to find potential solutions from FAQ database. If a solution is found, present it to the user. If no solution is found, ask the user for additional details. If it's unresolved, escalate to support team, right? So these are classic examples. So then you can just add it to the task now. If I click apply, and you will see here, now it has a new task. Okay. So very quickly, we are able to create a task which requires two tools, right? Which we don't have. And we'll see how we can build those as well. Okay. So we'll test it out. We'll say clear. I'm having trouble with my Mac. Can you help? Right. So including Mac issue, I specialize in assisting product recording. Shopify, if you have any questions regarding products, I recommend contact Apple support, right? I believe, can you help me? It's not going in the right direction. So, okay, so it only has these 5 options. So we need to connect this particular task to it, right? So we'll say improve this particular task to also include product support as described above, right? So this is how you connect the menu of options. So when your agent gets loaded, it knows all the things it can do, right? So here for product support, it will now take you to handle product support. Okay, now I'm going to apply this and literally connect all that. So I'm going to save it, reset it again, because that's how you load the new version of the agent, and say, hello, I'm having trouble. My Mac is not working. Let's assume, right? Now, would you like to proceed with product? Yes. Right. So now it's saying, hey, would you like to proceed product support? Yes. Please describe the issue. The keyboard gets stuck sometime. Now, according to our agent, it's supposed to call search a product FAQ, right? So let me kill this spell checker here. Grammarly keeps getting in my way. Okay, so looks like I ended up sending it twice. So it seems like I could find specific cues for troubleshooting. So it tried to call the tool, but it couldn't find the tool, right? It identified search products, right? So and tried to find search products here, couldn't find it, right? So then it literally made up from its knowledge, right? So it came back with an answer because it's such an important. So This is where you need to start adding whatever is missing. And now we just released it this morning. You can now have the squigglies. You see the squigglies here? Every one of these things, if you see a squiggly or what we call as a marker, that means that is not defined. Okay, so if I say a tool here, escalate to product team, this error escalate to product team is not defined. You can literally click on it, and we now have tools for you to create those very quickly. Okay, so let's now create a synthetic tool for escalate to product team. Synthetic tool because we really don't have a tool, so I'm going to create a synthetic tool. It will escalate to the support team by sending an email with the entire summary of the problem and contact details. Right? Input would be summary, name, email. Right? I don't need to give an example, right? So output would be ticket ID. So for people who been here, synthetic data is basically it creates a tool which will behave like the real tool, right? And then we add it. Now you go to your tools tab here, you will see it's added here. So now when I do escalation, it will work. So to make this easier to find things that you have not defined, we now have a tab called errors tab that will show you all the things that are not defined in your agent. Now you can see, oh shit, there's a lot of stuff. Most of it is variables, memory variables. So to make this super easy to fix this memory variables, we now have AI to help you with it. Right? You can literally pick all the variables and add AI with descriptions. So it goes and generates all the memory variables for you and creates the definitions for it. Okay. And you can review it. You will start to see, you'll review it. You'll probably make some final touches to make sure that the variable names are what it means. And this is really important for the language model to know what each of these variables are. So let's say after like 5 or 6 conversations, it's going back and looking at memory state. It will be able to find it based on the description. Okay. So that's the reason why you need, if you, by the way, you don't have to specify all these. Language models start guessing. But if you fix these, it will take what, few minutes to do it. You get better results and consistent deterministic results if you give as much information to the language model. Now for tasks, we have, you can create a task here using the fix. For tools, we have synthetic tool creator, HTTP tool creator, tool from library, tool from agent, and Zapier tool. Okay, so with just this tab, once you define it, and with the help of Dugent, you can really accelerate agent building. So we are the first to introduce this ability where we catch the errors in your natural programming language, English-like programming language, where we not only catch the errors, but also suggest fixes and make it easy to do it. So you are the first guys to, in fact, try it because we just released it this morning. Okay, so this is, in fact, the other things you can do here is, let's say when you click on it, it will actually scroll, take you to that particular location. Let's say go verify order details. You can go and see what's wrong here, click on it, create a synthetic tool or a Zapier tool or call another agent. Okay, so when you do that, it will create the prompt for you. You can describe it and it will create the tool and then you can add it, right? So for other things such as, if you have an existing tool, you can, from the tool library, you can add it from the tool library itself. Last is the other improvements we made to help you is we now have autocomplete. That means as you're typing, you can say assign to a variable. The moment you type $, it will start showing you all the variables that you can assign. So you don't have to remember variables, tool names, etc. If you say tool, Now you can pick the tool. If you say task, you can pick the tasks. Okay. So if you're done programming, you've seen this kind of handy tools available in programming language. We now, for chain of agents programming language, we brought all that capability for you to speed up agent building. Okay. So what I want you to do is do some exercises today. Start with creating a task for using Dugent, right? It's from task tab, right? So create with AI and select, sorry, this is my copy paste. I was editing. The content really changed today as we built these tools. So that's why the content is not perfect. So from task tab, click create with AI, and you can copy paste this information or you can just type it. You have the PDF. Okay. And by the way, you don't have to use this particular task instructions. You can use anything that comes up to mind. If you're adding a task that was referenced by another task, for example, you want to add a task that is mentioned somewhere here. Let me go back and find one. For example, process return. The task process return doesn't exist. You need to create one. I would highly encourage you to create the task from here, because what it does when you do that, you see it adds the context of where the task is used.
Interesting. Yeah.
That helps Dugent understand, hey, no, this task is actually used in this context. I'm going to leverage that knowledge on top of the notes that you're giving me to create a better version of the task. If you just do it from here, it doesn't have the context. All it has is what you describe. Okay. So I just wanted to give that tip here. And the same thing goes with tools too. If you want to create a tool, a synthetic tool, you can click on this, and now it has the entire context for the synthetic tool. If there are variables used, etc., it knows what can be sent to synthetic tool and so on. Okay. Right. So go ahead and create a task. Then create a synthetic tool. Right. If the task uses synthetic tool, go ahead, create it, specify it, test it out as you're doing each one of these. Right. So that way you get a hang of it. And then the next set of things we will do kind of adding from a tools library. And once you get past these two in the next 10 minutes, right, we're going to add a tool from the tool library called web search. And you will see how the web search tool or the get current time date tool is very handy, or send email tool. These are the common tools that we provide, and that library will continue to grow. These are the first three tools, and web search is very useful. And you will see it when we integrate that. But for now, go ahead and for the next 10 minutes, do create a task, create synthetic tools. And if you finish faster, then you can start trying out the tool library.
Right.
Yeah.
Done, and surprisingly, it worked. It was a little. So I went to the preview agent and synthetic worked.
Cool. Yeah, I think the half the battle is getting over that apprehension that it will not work, right? You're not
Yeah.
going to break the system. You try it. If it doesn't work, retry it, right? Just like in the early days of ChatGPT, we were like sitting there wondering what should I ask next, right? So now we're all well versed with how to ask questions, how to follow up. If it makes mistakes, you course correct. Agent building is very similar, and then you get it right, and it seems to work again and again and again, right? So. Um, Okay. As a show of hands, can you tell me who else is still working on it? Just your thumbs up. If you don't raise it, then assuming everybody's done. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's move on to the next topic in here. So one of the things that if you, I'm assuming you all built a Shopify agent, so if you did that, then you have now tools that you can automatically add to this. Let me just delete one of these tools, right? So I deleted 3 tools. So I can go here to my Shopify tools collection and add my tools to it, right? So when you add a tool, the tools may have variables like these that may not belong, that may not be defined in here. So if you don't define them, if you just have this curly braces and need to be substituted, you will actually see those values like here. Okay. So this is where you define the environment variables for it. So this is something that we discussed last time, but just to catch you guys up. For our demo here, we're gonna add a web search tool, right? So I'm gonna refresh my screen to reset my changes and delete my web search in here. And I saved it. Now I don't have web search. I'm going to add web search. What is web search tool? The web search tool is, well, there's no description here, should have added it, is a tool that will actually search the web. If there is no answer available, sometimes you don't want the language model to make things up. So you can add this web search tool to your tool get here and go back to your tasks and say, when I'm searching for a product, if the product comes back and searches for it and it can't find it, you want to say, hey, go look the web, right? So I'm going to improve with AI here on the search product and say, if you cannot find any products or only found one product, offer the user to search the web. And if they say yes, use the tool web search to search to find the product on the web, right? So what this will do is it'll give me a revised set of instructions that will include that option in there, right? So here, if you scroll up here, it says, if I keep going, if no products are found or one product is found, offer the user the option to search the web. If they agree, use the tool web search to find the product name. So I'm going to update the tool instructions, save it, and then I'm going to say, find me a soap, right? Now this is a store that has soaps, so it will go any would do. It's asking specific brand. It's going to go to the store, find the soaps that are available, come back. How do I know it? Because the store has this product here. And if you click on it, it shows it to me, right? Skintastic product. So that if I go back, I also know it's calling the store. If I click on the tools, it's saying it's using the tool called search products, providing a soap. I only got three, right? So it only came back with one, uh, and it didn't give me that option. Let's say, hey, look, do you have other soaps? It seems the search only returned one soap. Would you like me to search the web? Yes. So now it's going to call the web search tool, find them online, and return them. Okay. So it looks like it only found, this is, by the way, using Google search to find it. So it looks like it didn't really like the search results that it got back because it looks like it got Merriam-Webster, hypertext protocol, all those things. So let me define it. Can you find me a moisturizer that is good for women? Now, on the store, we have moisturizer, but they're all typically meant for men. So these seem to be for men. Okay, in this case, can you search the web? So it came back with options. Here are some web search results for women with facial moisturizers, 100 best face moisturizers available here, etc., etc. Now, this simple web search tool can be very powerful in different contexts. You can search for weather, you can search for any kind of information that you want to combine with your own data to be able to answer questions. Okay? And the same goes with add this web search tool, play with it, and try out the other tools that are there as well. So at from library, you have web search tool, you have send email tool, where at the end of a conversation, you can say, do you want me to send an email for summary? And you say summarize it and send an email. Okay. Go ahead and try it out. 5 minutes, maybe you should be able to get the web search tool working. Anybody wants to show me if how is it working for you? How are you using it? Any questions? How you guys making it out? You guys able to get it working? Excuse me. Hey, do you need more time or are you guys done? Okay, let's I'm gonna quickly spend a few minutes on other capabilities here. The one is calling one agent from another. Okay. Since you may not have a second agent yet, there is now an agent you can download, couple of agents from the folder, support ticket analyzer flow agent. You can download into your hard drive. And if you come back to the agents collection, there's something called upload agent. You select that file and it will create that agent for you. Okay. So when it does, it will be this agent. Now, this actually is a very good agent. We use it internally to analyze support tickets. Okay. So what does it do? It will take support tickets which have the messages, back and forth messages, etc., and classify it into different categories and create a structured output, which we then collect over 2,000 messages and analyze it again with a different agent. Okay. So let's look at what it does. Very small, but very effective. Extract basic ticket information, a ticket ID, subject, creator ID. In this case, because it's tickets, conversations that are downloaded from Salesforce or Gorgias or Freshdesk come with this information. That's why it's here, right? Determine the primary issue or request by analyzing the messages and store them in primary issue. Classify the ticket into categories. You can, by the way, change it depending on your context. You can say pick up, let's say if it is due with non-e-commerce, you can classify it in different forms. Or you can do a different thing. You can create a general purpose agent that goes through 100 messages, randomly select 100 messages, and come up with classifications. And then you store those and then use that to update. So you can try different things, right? So here, classifications are hard-coded. You can analyze the customer sentiment. You can detect urgency levels. You can identify keywords, special interests, or mentions of competitors and store detected keywords. Determine if the conversation requires follow-up action. Check if the conversation includes a cancellation or a complaint. Extract any location information or time. Create a message summary, right? So if the message is back and forth, emails, etc., you can create a message summary. Identify the next best response type from these categories. It's FAQ response, policy lookup, human escalation, etc., etc. Determine if the response requires lookup specific information. Assess whether human intervention is needed. Generate a recommended response. Assign a confidence score. And when you have analyzed all this data, now it can go through hundreds of lines of conversations and do all this. and create an output such as this, right? Now, if you have an analytical tool that will create a report, this data is more than enough for it to go and analyze and create dashboards. So you can use this, right? You basically create a program that calls this agent with ticket input and then generates the output. And so we use this as an operational agent. Now, this operational agent could be called from another agent. Right? So in the here, I can come to tools, say call another agent. When I do that, it shows up all the agents in your account will show up here. You can select this account, say click next. Now, this is where you're going to say what you want the user input to be. Because you say, this will say the input should be a detailed summary of the conversation and all the variables and their values, right? That's what you want as user input. So this agent has all the information it needs from this other agent. And we currently use Dugen to create it, right? So you can see here, there's something called the agent token. This is how an agent calls another agent using this token. It creates this tool and we'll add it. So in the next release, you don't even have to go through this step. We automatically add it to the tools collection. So you can skip the step. For now, you will go through this, and now the agent is ready for you to call. So if I come back here, measure customer satisfaction. This is where I think logically you want to do this, right? So I can say, instead of calling the HubSpot, create HubSpot ticket tool. Call the above support ticket analyzer tool. So it's now revised it to replace this particular tool, right? So now it's going to call this particular tool, process summarize conversation classification by calling this with arguments and the entire conversation log. Okay, I'm going to save it here, and then let's have a conversation. Right, I'm going to say hello. Right, so I'm going to say what is the order status from 1005 with email demo at agentman.ai. Okay, so I would say I would like to return this order. I do not like it. So I was going to check to see the policy is available and says 14 days. Okay, oh, so bummer. Then you find me moisturizers. For men are getting older. Right, so it's great. Now, would you like? No, I'm all set. So at this point, it will ask me to rate this task here. So it's now in this particular task. So I'm going to rate it as 2. It says, oh, you did not allow me to return it, right? So once this is done, and convenience regard, thank you for pointing out, your feedback is recorded, thank you for patience, etc. Right? So let me see if the user rates this. Let's see if it's called the tool, right? So we want this. Looks like it didn't call it. Right? So I'll have to make sure that it always calls this tool, right? So I'm going to come back and improve that after the user got some other after. What is this one here? I've got another chat going on here. Sorry. How do I kill this? I'm having trouble with it. Oh. If the user, let me save this one here, that refresh it. Let's see. They improved AI. If the user rates the score as 3 or less, ensure that a support ticket is analyzed and logged. Right, so now I built that condition that it always calls this if it is, and I have to start all over again. Status of 1005 with email. Can you give me what are the order details on 1005 with email demo at agent man AI? I think I okay, so it's the it's still not triggering that particular call. So we'll have to adjust, but you get the gist of it, right? So you someone is going to corner store, etc. You raise it as a reason for scroll, and when they have provided it, go to task complete conversation. Then you can quick fix this and add it here. So this way I have at least now, I can use it in other places. Maybe this would work. Okay. So do you guys want to try it or you want me to go on to the next topic?
So essentially, like we need to have a clear idea of what we want the LLM to do, right?
Yeah.
In the task.
Yeah.
We're giving it clear instructions on what it has to do.
Exactly. So usually this is an iterative process, right? As you think about what you typically with agents, what you do is you define workflows. Is that I want it, you literally write down instructions. You say, I want this to do A, B, C, and D. And then you start coming to like an agent man and then use the tools to quickly create the agent, right? Instead of writing everything down. And then you test it and you keep revising it and you keep adding capabilities to it. We encourage people to not try to build an agent for all the workflows, build for the 2 or 3 workflows, deploy it, test it, and then continue to revise and iterate. So if you see here, in our my agent collection, we have agents that are versioned. For example, here you see this agent called Dugent, and this Dugent that you see here on the right is actually this agent,
Yeah.
right? Initially, we support some tools, then we kept adding more tools. Now we separated this. Now this agent, the Dugent, will actually use all these tools to do it if you interact here,
Right.
right? So, but now we also added tools here. If you go back and look at Skintastic, remember we adding variables errors, so I can fix these variables. This AI add with AI descriptions is actually a Dugent agent. So if you something we added in a very quick order, we said, hey, all we need to do is create another agent that will go create memory descriptions. So study the agent instructions carefully, take detailed notes for each of the variables. Once you have completed analysis and note taking, proceed to generate variable descriptions. And we gave it a sample how to generate it, and it does a very effective job, right? So I can go back. And now we've taken agents that we built and used that to improve our UI experience. Right? The other one is this tool creation agent, where it creates agent calling tool, Zapier tool, right? And then that's the one that we will see now as a next step. Okay. So as you can see how we are using agents in different formats. We saw a support ticket analyzer. We saw agents that interact with customers. And now we have agents that we use within our own product to bootstrap.
Right.
Okay. We're losing people. We have 3 people now. We started with 7. Half the class is gone. So let me cover the next big topic. This is, I think, quite effective to connect to 7,000 applications. Are you familiar with the product Zapier?
No, not really. So the point is, I think whoever would want to use this must have a little of how usually programming works, and how we define variables, and how we connect everything. How do you write different functions and everything? So it still feels like uh, someone understands how machines work. Someone should understand how machines work to figure out to work around this. Though you need not, you don't need to code. You don't need to understand syntaxes and everything.
Yeah.
But still, the thought process is very very similar. That
Yeah,
you need.
exactly. So we are automating stuff. So when automation comes with some level of analytical understanding and logical reasoning, right? So you should be able to think logically, and that basically is some element of programming. What any no code platform is trying to do is trying to give you the structure or an easy way to build these things without having to write actual programming language, right? So the thing that we did so many different agents. I'll just give you an example. What is that developers use, right? So Screw AI is a company that's quite popular, multi-agent platform.
Correct.
If you look at their examples, right, so use cases, very similar use cases you will find marketing teams can scale, etc. Most common use cases, so on, right? So if you go and look at their code documentation, let's say, and look at their agents, they have the same idea of role, goal, backstory, tools, etc. And let me see if there is an example that I can share with you here. So, there's always examples. Let's search it. Okay, crew examples we have. Like I said, marketing strategy, some example, create job posting, right? So just creating a simple job posting, right? So you'll have to write in Python this code, right? So this is a simple job description here. They also have landing page generator. You're now creating all this code,
Yeah.
right? So you could literally create a landing page generator in Agent Man within a few minutes.
Correct. Yeah.
right? So all this work that they do to orchestrate the different agents is built into our platform. So you don't have to do all this heavy lifting because you're just writing the code just to get to that stage. And then you test back and forth, etc. It's all in Python, in JavaScript, and so on. So there are over 100 frameworks just to, this is a modality that they use. With no code agent builders, we are getting, we'll see, that world is slowly growing, but we are one of the first ones to offer a platform which works with any any backend. Salesforce has a platform that works with Salesforce, Microsoft and Microsoft platform, right? So they're very platform tied to their platform. We are the first one to be agnostic in that sense. And we are taking an end user first approach to things to make it super easy to build it. All the capabilities we released over the last few days, everything from, if you see an error here, fixing things very quickly, right? Or adding a tool or adding an agent, right? So it's adding a task is like one click done, right? So that's the speed which with you were able to build agents very quickly and make it available for your use case. So one last topic is Zapier. So if you're not familiar with Zapier, let me give you a little bit of a tour. Zapier is another no-code application tool or data transformation tool where you can take data from one application and send to another application.
Okay.
Okay, so it is extremely popular for people to get very quickly started, right? So I'm going to log into my account. It will take away all the, let's go ahead. By the way, it's free for the first X number per month. So you can create what are called zaps. So you start from scratch, you create a zap. It's called automated workflows. They have a co-pilot. You can describe what you want to do, or you can just say, I want to create what is called a webhook. You pick that, and then said a webhook is like an API. When you do that, says I want to do a catch hook. When you that step, you get what is called and continue. You get what is called a webhook like this. Okay. Now this is what you would need to add a Zapier tool. Okay, say send. In fact, let me tell you what. We have Zapier webhook subscription services. So I'm gonna grab this one here, and this I have a special webhook. What this surveyor tool does is it surveys the user and sends everything to a Google sheet. And we use Zapier as the way to send it. Okay. I'm going to send survey, send to Google Sheets. And I want to add all these values, right? I can say survey responses, emails, submissions, reminder threads, name. So you pick all your variables that maybe I'm picking everything here, but doesn't have to be. This is from your variables list. So it's going to generate the Zapier tool and set it up for you. Right? In the past, you would have to use DoGen to do it, but now it is using an agent in the background to generate all that. Right? So send to Google Sheet is what it looks like, all the values set up, and this is the format in which it will send it. Now you save, and if I come back here, I can collect all server responses and replace this tool with my tool. Right, so tool, hold on, I think it was sent to Google Sheets, I think. Supposed to remember. We save it. I think that's one of the things that we will have to figure out why that it's not showing up, but that's the tool, right? Send to Google Sheet.
So how difficult of a tool can be easily generated? Like if the tool is little more complex, does it does will that still depend on the how nicely we write the instructions in the tool, or will it?
So we made it easier for Zapier, right? So we gave the Zapier tool creation. So
Correct.
that you just have to, you'll go to Zapier, you look at all the inputs need to send, you copy paste it, right? Or you create the variables and the selection and then do it. That's one way you can speed up. Zapier, we simplified it. The part that is still a little bit hard to do is the HTTP tools, right? README, I had given you examples here. You have to know the URL, you have to know what method. This is what the developer will give you. Now, this is the part that's harder to do. And so in the future, we will make that also very easy. We're working on making it, when you make something easy, it has to be very flexible and adaptable to all situations. So we are working on this idea of how to make it easy without complicating things. Okay, without complicating giving up functionality. So I just made a tool, but get current datetime tool, and I can add it like this. Now, in order to do this, I need to know all that information. So that's the hard part. We will solve it in the next month or two, where you will literally be able to connect like this. You'll be able to say catch hook, click here, you'll be able to say Google Sheets I want to connect to. You'll log in, right? So I said log in, choose an event. In this case, I've already logged in, so that's why it's not prompting me to log in. But I can, let's say, pick Google Drive. Let me go back to Google Sheets. As you can see, this is something that you're quite familiar. You've seen similar systems where they let you create spreadsheet row, right? So update a spreadsheet row. So let's say create spreadsheet row, and then you select an account, which is one of my accounts here that I've logged in. So if you don't have an account, it will give you a login screen. You log in, just like Google login, and you're done.
Yeah.
Now you have this tool available. That anytime you send data, you'll create a row for you. Okay. So this is something that we're working on. We don't have it ready yet. Once we do that and we have hundreds different apps that you can connect to, you'll go from building an agent to testing a production scale agent in a few hours. And at that time, you're just iterating and iterating. And as a non-engineer.
Correct.
Okay. So feel free to try this offline. How many of you? Now we have only two of you left. So are you familiar with what RAG is?
Yeah, I know, I've heard of RAG, but not this
Okay.
related to
So
AI only, but not very clear.
okay, RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation.
Okay.
What it means is that let's say you have 10, thousands of pages of help content, and people are asking questions. Go look it up. You can't store all of that in an agent. There is no way to store it, right? You can't create a memory variable and show all that. The other challenge is even if you're able to, you may fill the entire context window. Remember, I said the context window is 1 MB in size for
Yeah.
most models. You feel that you can't fit thousands of pages in it. So what, right? So you create what is called a RAG infrastructure where you can, so user asks a question and you have to go look up. You'll go look up an external knowledge base, retrieve the relevant information, and send it to the language model.
Okay.
Like, you get these are 5 results I got. Can you make sense of it, right? And then the language model will take the 5 and try to match with the question you asked and pick the relevant ones and then craft a response. That's basically what is called RAG, like looking up a database. We are hoping to get it out today to make it easy to upload all your files and it'll automatically start working for you, right? So when it is deployed, you will be able to define a collection saying, say technical support knowledge base. And here then you'll be able to add a
Document.
file, text file, a website, right? And you'll be able to upload files, and we will do all the backend work to index them, vectorize them, make it searchable. It's called semantic search, not keyword search, semantic search, and do all that. And in probably 10 minutes later, everything is ready, depending on the number of files you uploaded. And then the agent can then use this to answer questions.
So, so the agent is even though the context window is limited to 1 MB or something, the agent will still. So is there another agent on top of this who is giving the context to?
Yeah.
Suppose I ask
So it is yeah, exactly. You can think of it as an agent, but we don't, because it is. So agents depend on what called language models, right? If you remember, if you go to Google, right, and search, it uses keyword search, but also it understands sometimes your question, the semantic meaning of it, and finds that content.
Correct. Yes.
That capability has been around since 2016, 2017. The technology to do that is called vector-based search. It's called semantic search. It's called. That's what we use. We
Okay.
don't use a language model, right? So what that semantic search does is it looks for words that have similar meaning as your question in the knowledge base, finds all the relevant content that you say, hey, find me the top 5 ones that are closest in meaning to the sentence I'm asking. Once you get that 5 or 10, only that 5 or 10 sentences or paragraphs are sent to the language model with your agent. Right? So that way you've taken 1,000 pages and water it down to the 10 relevant paragraphs. And if you give it a language model now has, hey, look, all I have to do is look at these 10 things and figure out what is the most closest to the question, and then use that to answer it and give a summary. Okay.
Got it.
So that's basically that's the difference between a RAG and an agent.
Understood.
So the last topic is, now that you build an agent, what do you do? How do you get it out there, right? So it's if you build an agent, if you've not tried it, you should share an agent with people, right? That's something that's what we do very constantly. What we literally send out the agent to our customers. They send it to us and say it's misbehaving, right? Or it's behaving correctly, or can you test it out, right? In fact, we have one of our team members has built what is called an onboarding agent.
Yeah.
Okay. So what an onboarding agent is, when you sign up for the first time, we'll have a little icon here that you click on it and it'll help you the entire product.
Got it.
And in the next version of it, remember where you are. It starts to have the conversational start memory, remember the memory of it, and then start to provide you. So that is again being built. And as she's building it, she's like, Prasad, I built it. Can you look at it? And the way she does is it literally shares this agent with me in this fashion. I test it out, I give her feedback. Right? So that's one way, and use that share functionality to get feedback, right? So let me go back to here. Where is it? I think here. Where's my window? Here, right? So that's, or is it here? Back here. That's the one way. The other way is, let me go to my agents again and find an agent that once you've got all the feedback, you have to put it out there, right? So there are a number of ways you can deploy it, right? You share your agent, deploy an agent. If you want to, you can build your own client application. See what we have done is, at various places, we employ agents, right? Like a Zapier Zap tool, there's an agent that gets called from here.
Correct.
The way it calls it is using APIs. And we provide that API to make that call using this, right? So internally, we wrote program that calls this, sends the agent token, which is what you will see here. When you click deploy, you get this token, and that's how the agent gets identified, and that's how it loads the appropriate instructions and runs it. Okay, so let's find it. So that's one of the ways you can call an agent. The other way is you can install a Shopify assistant window. So we have an open source Shopify client that you drop in the JavaScript and it starts to appear in the right corner. Okay. So and then you just drop in the token in that when you're configuring this particular client, and it starts to operate within your store. That's one way to deploy it. Let's say you don't have a Shopify store, you just have your regular website. You can go and download the JavaScript plugin and put it on your website. And you can customize everything from the background color, text color, for your brand, what is the heading, all of that. So when you do that, you will have basically something like this. You can see it on the right corner, that's our agent. It is using this rose color, and it's called Agent Man Assistant. That's how we set it. And then we also change these colors in there. Whereas the Skintastic one has a different color format to match the website. Right? So Skintastic agent looks like this, right? It's got a different shade, etc., and so on. Right? So just drop in JavaScript, and now we change the token, agent token, we added it, and now it becomes that agent, right? So in this case, this is what our agents, by the way, this is one of the most popular agents on our site that gets used a lot. People ask questions, they can set up meetings, all those things. So that's another way, and we are continuously coming up with new ways to use your agents. The one that we are working on currently, which is getting built by an intern, is an agent that's a Chrome plugin. So there'll be a plugin here that will show up on your site. On the right, you click on it, just like I was trying to get rid of that plugin, right?
Yeah.
So in there, you can log into your account and activate any agent.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example of what we're going to launch with. When you go to LinkedIn, you're looking through all these feeds, and your friend said, "Hey, it's Jennifer Moore," and you wanted to congratulate them. You can pick one of these things, right? But if there is a Slack message or somebody posts in a thoughtful, like for example, this guy, right? Ooh, we just hit 1 million followers and so on. Congratulations, and say, right? So, or you can have a more thoughtful comment here, right? Now you have to think, okay, what do I say? What do I say? So we will have a Chrome agent here, a LinkedIn agent, which will activate. You can copy paste all that. It will give you what you can add. In the future, it will actually start to fill that comment window.
Understood.
Right? So, and then you just log into your account and activate that particular agent.
So that will, again, depending on this particular post, and that will be fed back to the LLM.
Exactly.
It responds with what is the tone you want it to be and whatever.
But you can customize it. You can add your own content. You can say, this is my profile. So it knows your background. So it personalizes that and say, oh, your background is this. So and in the future, based on your background, it can literally, as you open your browser and keep it here, it will go and scroll the entire list, find the ones that are relevant for you and highlight them. Right? Or creates an entire summary of the entire feed for you periodically and share it with you. And so that's a very different experience. In fact, it all started with helping people file their taxes using TurboTax.
Okay.
So we have our TurboTax assistant, because you do it once a year. It's always like learning for the first time, right? A lot of things.
Yeah.
So the assistant will actually help you fill out very quickly your tax returns. Okay, so that's another way to deploy it. So you've seen at least 4 deployments, right? Within the application, like what we did here. Number 2 is within your website, like here, or in a store, right? So it's 3. And then your Chrome plugin. So in the future, it'll be in WhatsApp, it'll be in SMS. You can literally have connect your account from your phone and have conversations and ask your agent to do a bunch of things for you.
Got it.
And so that's the deployment section. So finally, one of the things that I like to always say is that agents are, the more clear you're with instructions, the better agents will perform, right? The best practices. If you're ambiguous, then it also doesn't have clear instructions, right? So you'll just make up stuff. The other thing is you don't want to give, when you talk about agents and their brand and their tone, right? Here, if you go back to Agent Man, here your guards and rails, be funny and quirky in responses. I can't say be professional and funny and quirky at the same time. So
Yes.
then instead, how do I deal with all that, right? So and also avoid these kind of instructions, right? So handle customer issues. What does that mean, right? So you have to be very specific as to what they can handle and what they cannot. That's all the tips. I always like to set this mental model. Think of agents at this stage as 8th, 9th graders. So they can handle ambiguity. They can handle going in, understanding multiple steps. But if you don't give them clear directions, they would get just stalled or do something you will not like. So you still have to provide clear instructions, but don't have to be the point where it is so detailed that they feel like they're doing road work.
Yeah.
Right. I know we finished a little early. So that was the last topic. So what's coming next, right? So we will be launching, we're hoping to launch easy to use RAG. We should have it next week. We will send out emails. We'll be connecting with hundreds of apps. That's probably we'll start the work on it, so that it's easy to go from building an agent to connecting to his favorite SaaS apps or apps in quick order. And some of the other things that we have been thinking about is what are called guardian agents, agents that wake up in the night or run at a certain time, right? You build an agent and say, go perform this task for me every day at 9 a.m., right? Once we have like a Gmail connector, you can build an agent that summarizes your email for you for the day. Because it connects to an email, retrieves all the new email, disregards all the spam and marketing emails, and only focuses on the ones that you care about. And then you say, hey, and then also it can go and summarize your calendar and send you a summary saying, hey, here is what you need to do for the day. Here needs the ones that you can, right? So you can create an email agent. Then some of the things that we'll be also be considering is once you build an agent, you want to and deployed it, you want to go back and see what's going on with the agent, right? So you want to watch and monitor the agents and also evaluate the agents and give you insights on where it's performing well, when it's not. And we'll continue to build out more and more pre-built agents.
So since we have this context window and everything, how many like, so the agent should be very, very specific, right? Suppose even if I have a big project in mind, there should be at least several agents that are working in tandem, and they should be connected again, and everything orchestration should happen, because
Yeah.
each agent should have its own, but defined, very well defined task, so that
Yeah.
so
You could, right? So as you can see, that e-commerce agent had like 7 different tasks, right?
yeah.
But just like in software development, you may start with putting everything in one agent, and over time it gets too big and too hard to maintain. So you start to put them in smaller agents, and you orchestrate, right? So that way, that small agent can be used across different other agents as well. So what I would suggest is taking that approach. Is start build an agent, make it do all kinds of things. Then you say, you know what, I need to push it to something else, easy to maintain. So
Yeah.
you can do agent-to-agent calling and so on.
Something like this microservices architecture where you have
Exactly.
services connected by APIs.
Exactly.
Here, the even if there are different agents at the end, what is it connecting them here? Suppose even if it's an e-commerce website and
Yeah.
one agent is uh, just suggesting products and another agent is providing returns. I mean tackling returns.
Yeah.
Suppose.
So in this case, we put everything in one, right?
Yeah.
We have order details, order issues, returns and exchanges, product information, product support.
Yeah.
One ideal one would be creating at the end of it, you go classify the ticket, summarize it, create a ticket in HubSpot, send out an email, right?
Correct.
At end of the conversation could be a separate agent,
Yeah.
right? But if you're interacting with the user, you want to put all the specific stuff right in one agent.
Yeah.
Because that way, if the user wants to jump from order status to product information to returns,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So it'll be able to. So in the future, we will allow. So the reason I say this is because the conversation context
Hmm.
cannot be moved from one agent to another at
Okay.
this point. So that's why you put all the tasks that need to share the same conversational history should be in the same agent. At some point, we'll make it easy for the conversational context to move from one agent to another without any change. So it can continue to, and then jump back and forth, right? So it's called multi-agent architecture, where you're able to have multiple agents sharing the same memory.
Understood.
Okay. So then you will be creating very sophisticated agents to make that happen. And something that we will roll out, but we are not there yet as a company.
Yeah, yeah. I'm understanding the progress of the features and what can happen. Um, it is very interesting because at least for myself, it is I have a peek into what can happen in next few years, uh, especially if for someone who cannot code, what can they do? If you have clarity of thought, what can be done?
Yes. So how did you find the class? What are you thinking about now that the class is done?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. I know this is like very, very helpful to at least get some grounding on the basics and high level architecture and how the setup is done. I was curious, like how you are approaching your roadmap, like what's driving that? Is it like your customers who are like uh, driving that prioritization of what comes next on your like tool roadmap? And then I also wanted to like understand, like for someone like me, I've been leading like data science and analytics teams for the last like 18 years. But definitely, I think with all these changes, I'm very motivated to even like do a career switch and see how I can get involved in this movement. So wanted to like also, if not in this call, maybe a separate meeting if you're open to it. Just get your thoughts. And then thirdly, how can we get involved in this, like whether through Agent Man and start contributing, so to say, to
So
help this growth.
you have my email, prasad@agentman.ai. So feel free to reach out to set up some time. And this offer stands for Alekya as well. Again, we can 30 minutes. I'm happy to spend time, discuss. One easy way to get involved is build agents, right? And we will showcase this on our website, where you can say created by Yash, right? And then people will use and pay and so on. That's one way to really get started, because in your work, you have a lot of opportunities you come across that, hey, I wish we can create an agent for this. And then we are empowering you to create that. So we're always looking for agent creators that want to create, because that agent could be a product on its own. Because a lot of people don't want to build their own agents. They want to just buy, install, and done. So Agent Man is basically a marketplace for agents. We have probably 6 agents, but our hope is 6,000 agents at some point. So, and it's not going to come all from us. It's going to come from the community.
Yeah.
Right. So once you have the tools, you can build the agents. You can do it in very short order, test it out, send it out to people, and if you see a lot of opportunity, put it on the marketplace, then start collecting passive revenue. Right. So that would be the one way to get involved without leaving your full-time job and all that. Right. So this is like a side opportunity, but also this will help you stay in the game. It's really important. The more you are dealing with these things, the more you will learn and the better you'll get at it, right? So that is quite the one of the reasons why I like to teach this class is for about 2 years now, I'm one of the leaders of a 300 plus AI community where these 300 people are non-engineers. They are from my Wharton school where I did my MBA, right? So Wharton alumni, and we constantly discuss the latest advances in language models. And these are people in finance and investments and marketing, etc. They now are quite familiar with the latest in technology and they're staying abreast, right? Once you get to a certain age, you are in leadership position. It's not every day you learn these things, and for them, so I always write from BITS Pilani. I taught my first class in BITS Pilani, my Pascal programming in my second year. Always been that kind of person who wants to impart the latest in technology. So for me, I really enjoy teaching this. So the platform, the tooling is also meant to empower people who are not always in the weeds writing the code, so on.